I'm delighted to be here with Dave Ferreira from Charter Oak, where he is the provost. And I'd like to hear, I know we've talked about Charter Oak and what the mission of Charter Oak is. And so let's start with, what's Charter Oak about? Because I'm sure a lot of people don't know all of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people in Connecticut don't know. So Charter Oak, we were founded in 1973, and we're a 100% online asynchronous college. So it doesn't mean we, had online courses before Al Gore invented the internet. It was we were actually a credit aggregator is our history. So for the first 30 years, we actually didn't offer any courses.
Right.
We actually we found that primarily mothers, when they would go ahead in 1970s, they would have babies, then 5 years later, when the kid is looking to go into school, they'd like to go back to the workforce, and nobody recognized their life experience, their skill sets, and so we actually aggregated their prior learning. We also then recommended courses and things like that, and packaged it together into a degree, and then we degree aggregated. And then early 2000s, we started to offer online courses, and then shortly thereafter started to offer online programs, and now we're a 100% online asynchronous college.
Thank God for Al Gore.
Yeah.
So as a online, and I know with the aggregation background, can you talk about your relationship? You have multiple institutions in Connecticut, and I know you have, I'll call it, working relationships with all of them. So how does that all work?
Yeah, so we're part of the Connecticut State College and University system, and so we really want to be a good partner within our state universities and with our now merged community college. So a couple ways in which we do that. One is if one of the state universities is already offering that program in an online asynchronous format, we're not going to compete with each other for the same program, same audience, things like that. So we try to be good neighbors. With the community college, it's really about providing the most affordable, accessible pathway for those that choose to pursue their baccalaureate online after they complete at CT State. So we have a couple things in order to help them do that. One is their Framework 30 general education is our Framework 30 general education, then we add on more for the baccalaureate level. So we provide that seamless transfer from CT State to Charter Oak. And then the other thing that we do that is actually very unique is we have what's called a community college tuition match scholarship. So if you graduate from CT State and you come to Charter Oak within 12 months, you actually pay the community college tuition rate for your final 2 years. It's the most affordable education in the state of Connecticut. Yep. In fact, if you are a fully Pell student, between the free community college program and then what you get for the tuition match, if you're fully Pell, you actually have a debt-free bachelor's degree option in the state of Connecticut right now.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And I thought I misheard. You said you don't compete with your own state institutions?
Yeah, we're with our.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, with our state universities,
you work together.
Well, so we try to be good neighbors, right?
No, it's great.
Because I do get asked all the time, "Hey, Dave, how come you don't have an online MBA program?" Well, one of the state universities already does, right? Yeah. It doesn't make sense for because as you know, with online students, they tend to come from, unless your name is Southern New Hampshire or Western Governors, they tend to come from a 100-mile radius of your campus. So that means there would be a lot of overlap. And so in the same target audience you're going for, it doesn't make sense to utilize taxpayer dollars to compete with each other.
That's fantastic. And I know you've been recently having some really good successes. So can you talk about why you think that's happening right now?
Yeah, so I think what we're doing is we're really trying to find market needs and getting out there in front of things. So for example, one of the areas that we're now getting really well known for is in artificial intelligence. We actually launched just in January the Connecticut Online AI Academy. And so this actually offered free online AI literacy to any resident in the state of Connecticut. Wow. Right? So, and that's really gotten us out there as far as being a provider of AI solutions. Now, if students want to, after they take that free course, you can actually pursue our AI practitioner certificate. If you wanted to have a higher level and become much more adept in AI, or we also stack that credential into things such as our bachelor's in software development. So there's those options for them, but we're really taking a look at how artificial intelligence is really going to change the world and society, and how are we preparing our graduates to be in the workforce for those changes.
Along that AI line, where do you see AI being used and changing the way education is done, way people learn? the way people get performance support, and where your credentials or how credentials are mixed in that. So
Yeah. It's, I think, AI is going to really have a massive disruption. I don't mean the term disruption in a negative way. It's going to be a massive disruption for us. And, it's going to impact every single department and facet of our institution. So, for example, and I think the way we have to approach it is to not be scared of it, but think about it. How can we do this again with our ethical standards and doing so for the right reasons? So we actually at Charter Oak, we already have our AI governance down. It's been passed through our academic council, and we have a couple things. One is AI is going to be there to supplement, not replace humans. All right, so that's in our core values. And then two, we also have our data privacy and protection rules and things like that to make sure that we're not having this data go somewhere where we don't want it to go. So what we're going to be doing in our implementation plan is, take, like, for example, we wanted to have an AI advisor to be a part of the team for our academic advising department. What we're going to do first is let's meet with our end users, our academic advisors, and say, what is it that you do in your job that you don't like, or it's mundane,
right,
or you spend way too much time doing it, and it doesn't allow you time to do the other stuff that's more fun. And sure, take a look at the list of things that you do are transactional, and what are things that you do that are transformational. Let's take the stuff that's transactional and have AI do that. So you have more time to do the things that's transformational, which you might find your job much more fulfilling when you're doing more transformational. And so start with that piece, which is what problem are you trying to solve, right? You always got to start with the why. Then say, should AI do it ethically? Can AI do it? Is our technology infrastructure already ready for it, right? Is our data clean? Because with AI, it's not the AI got it wrong. It was that, garbage in, garbage out, right? So is your is your IT infrastructure ready? Is your data infrastructure ready for an AI tool? And then once you have all those things done, you mapped out the why, what is it you're having to do, what's your problem you're trying to solve, it should be done, can be done, and we have our data ready, then you go ahead and go into implementation mode. And procure your solution for that.
if you want to talk about this, but the concept of privacy and student privacy. And so as AI is, I'll call it, more involved in helping me as a student when I'm struggling with a problem and something I don't know, and is that now being available around the world that Lee is not so smart at such and such, or other kinds of privacy. So what are your thoughts and data around that and protection, and not specifically what you're doing necessarily, but your thoughts about that in education?
Well, I think it is crucial, and actually it can be related to what we're doing, where we actually have a digital literacy gen ed requirement that we implemented in fall of 23. So we actually teach all of our students at Charter Oak how to ethically and properly use artificial intelligence and how to protect yourself. All right. What we always tell our student is a good rule of thumb: if it's not something you want to have public, don't put it into an open AI tool. All right. And then also, if we did implement an AI solution where we have that data, we have to make sure is the data secure. We do ask the AI vendor, how often do you audit your tool for bias? And then when you find bias, not if, but when you find bias, how do you let me know as the client so that we can make the changes and updates, right? So that's what we have to make sure we're doing is, are we ethically doing it in protecting our students' data? But then are we training our students to say, this is how you also protect yourself as you go into it? Because, and then we try to replicate that with our curriculum. So when working with our faculty, we tell them, look, there are some assignments where you want to tell the student, do not use AI. For example, if you're doing a reflection paper, that means you're probably going to have maybe some personally identifiable information. Then tell them, because of that risk, for this assignment, do not use AI. And here's the reason why, because I'm trying to protect you.
Yep. Going to shift directions and talk about workforce. I know that's something you and I have talked about a lot. So it's something you guys are really focused on. I think you have a great vehicle to assist and be that bridge between academia and people getting their jobs done, or employers getting work done in a better way. So talk about some of the things that you see happening with workforce needs and education, and also some of the things that Charter Oak's doing with that.
Yeah. So I think that, the important thing that we have to realize in talking with our industry partners is that I think higher education needs to change fundamentally, because we have like our liberal arts programs, we have our workforce programs, and traditionally at the university, these things are siloed and they're separate. But when I talk to industry and I talk to, let's say, cybersecurity CEOs, they say, Dave, I need folks to actually have more psychology courses, because social engineering is basically psychology. So I want psychology built into cyber, right? Or when it comes into for example, our AI practitioner certificate, we actually have a philosophy course, not a technology course, but a philosophy course in there, because actually philosophy. So if I actually am a philosophy major, I might actually sign up for my AI practitioner certificate, because when I talk to tech companies, they're like, they love the philosophers who also have that technical background. So it's taking these two different minds, these two different types of programs, and I say that these are two parents, and these parents are going to go ahead and have a baby, which is going to be the next generation of our academic programs, and these babies are going to have the DNA of both, because that's what industry and that's what workforce wants. So I'll give an example with our cybersecurity one that we do have. Again, we built in some psychology in there, but what we really did was we made it where it's the first 4 courses of that cybersecurity program prepares the student to sit for the CompTIA Security Plus and A Plus certifications. All right, so that they can go ahead and get an internship early on in their experience within the college, because that's where what we do find is that our students, while they're going to college, they might want to be like a IT help desk worker while they're studying cybersecurity, rather than maybe working at Starbucks as a barista. Nothing wrong with working at Starbucks, but you probably have a more enjoyable time doing that over there. In our early childhood education program, we actually have a CDA, Child Development Associate Certificate. That's the first 3 courses in there. So now they can work at a daycare center while they're doing early childhood education. So by the way, then if I want to do a practicum, I could do a work-based practicum because I already work there. Yeah. Right. So those are the things that we're kind of seeing of how do we, build liberal arts into the technical programs, build technical programs into liberal arts.
Yep.
And then how do we actually then build the experience from the student perspective so they can get that experience so they can earn while they learn.
Our son's a philosophy major, sophomore, and just took a course writing with AI.
Yep.
And it was interesting to hear some of the things you're talking about, just as trying to figure out where is his voice and what makes sense and so forth. So that's really neat. Engagement with the workforce, really, getting into the mechanics of how do you connect with them, where do you fit, what are the logistics of getting companies, industries, verticals, what are the things you're doing to be there, I'll call side by side with them, helping them succeed.
Yeah, so what we do is with our cybersecurity, when we redid our first 4 courses, we actually did it in tandem with Travelers Insurance. So what we did was we took a look over in Connecticut, insurance capital of the world. We actually found that Travelers Insurance was actually like the number 1 hirer of cybersecurity talent over the past 12 months. Yeah. So we identified who is hiring. So we went to them and say, look, we're redoing this. Can you do it with us? And we did the ask and they said yes. And so it was great to kind of do that. The other ways, which is a little bit difficult, is because we're an online college, they might say, hey, can I visit your classroom? Well, not really. We're online asynchronous. But here's what we are going to do. We want to do a theory to practice video, because in module number 5 of this course, we talk about this. You actually apply it in the workplace. Let's actually do a 10 to 15 minute mini podcast, right? And then we can insert it into the courses. And then when we do that, all right, we've now built a relationship with that industry partner. They're now also emotionally invested in our programs, because now they get to be a part of it, and they got their chance to visit your classroom, but we do so in a scalable way. So those theory to practice videos is something that we actually are starting to really implement and scale up, so that it allows us to actually also build the relationship with that company, because it's not a big ask, right? It is, hey, can I take 30 minutes of your time over Teams or whatever, or Zoom, and let's do a little mini recording, and so we can put it into this module, and then you're a part of our program.
Right. I'm going to switch tracks again and talk policy and thinking we're hearing a lot is being pushed down to the states now, and that's likely to continue. But that idea of what I'd call sharing And we have colleges that have their own borders, and then we have states that have their own borders in relationship to SARA or education in general. I can't believe we're not going to get past that and start to think more cooperatively. And what are your thoughts around? I mean, Connecticut's a small state,
Yep.
and you can extend to that border probably pretty successfully. But what are your thoughts about really thinking about a region and across state borders and across state budgets, because a lot of things are state budget driven for a public institution. So what are your thoughts about where you see things heading that way?
Yeah, I mean, we want to do that.
I know you do.
Yeah, we want to partner. So I think the easiest way to maybe do this is maybe take a look at something that's new, because trying to do a share with something new is easier than trying to renovate and doing that type of cross-state partnership. So, for example, and this actually, I was over at a New England Workforce Network conference recently, and I actually went out there and said, hey, this Connecticut Online AI Academy thing, there's nothing that stops us from partnering together and making it the New England Online AI Academy. Right. Because if your state can maybe make a little bit of an investment, your state, my state, we put it together. At the end of the day, we're just trying to make sure that we're benefiting our residents of our state. So I think something that might be new is a good one. But yeah, there's nothing that stops us saying, hey, look, let's do it. Let's partner together. We'll offer the same course, but we'll share faculty. We'll share whatever we need to do. Probably easier to do on the non-credit side, but I think those are going to be our incubators of innovation that we can then look towards and then maybe try it elsewhere.
Yeah. So just some closing thoughts. What are some things you see coming down the pike? What are, if you think longer term, what are you imagining?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're just going to try to get through the next couple of years of, I think
right now,
I think we just have to be okay with being uncomfortable, right? Because we're in right now the greatest disruption since the Industrial Revolution, right? But we just got through a pandemic. We have this, so I just think it's saying, hey, look, and we don't know what's going to come next in 3 months, 6 months, or whatever it might be. So, are we prepared? Are we going to be agile? And if we are going to be agile, we're also going to be flexible. And we always then try to get to, can we get to the yes? It doesn't fulfill our why. If we just keep our eye on that North Star of what our institution is here for, right? Ignore all that noise around there. Keep to your mission. Whatever you do, is it tied to your mission? And as long as you keep to that North Star, I think you'll be okay. But you just may have to take a little bit of a different path. It may not be a straight line. It may be a little bit of a bump up and down, left, right, circular, cartwheels and whatever it might be.
Right. Thanks so much, Dave. I really appreciate it. Great to see you.